there's no question but that there has been a lack of, as I said, transparency and clarity, and certainly the way in which data has been reported by governments has been clearly biased towards fear-mongering. A clear example of that is the incessant reporting of PCR data.
Yes.
And let's be very clear about this. PCR cases are not cases at all. A case has been understood in medicine as a person who is suffering from some disease. And we have to have evidence that that person is suffering from the disease and has been infected with the disease. That's a case, right? But what governments have done is they've ramped up this massive number of so-called cases, which are PCR positive tests. A lab test may or may not correspond to a symptomatic case or a real case of disease. And so they're basically just numbers that you reel off and they're meaningless. Yeah. And we needed to know how many people had the disease, not how many people tested positive. Many people who show up with positive PCR tests never even develop symptoms. If you don't have symptoms of disease, you're not sick. If you don't develop symptoms of a disease at any point, you're not sick. And so I think we've turned the common sense of doctors on its head. Best practice of doctors has been turned on its head with these very strange practices, which we never did in the case of flus, for example, or past epidemics.
Yes.
And it really has distorted the public understanding of the disease and of its severity, of its extent, because people hear a number like, say, 100,000 cases, and they have no idea how many of those cases involve sickness, how many of those are actual cases. It's a really egregious abuse of statistics and of lab data. I sincerely hope people answer for this abuse that has occurred over the past 2 years.
Where can people find you on?
Well, my main website is davidthunder.com, and all of my social media channels can be found on the homepage there. They can also find me on davidthunder.substack.com.